Today in Social 20, we're talking about how nations relate to identities. And we want to do this to understand how nations and the people living within them shape one another. So, nations develop because of collective identity. Collective identity, all of the people in the nation sharing characteristics of their identities with one another because of the nation itself. There's a collective identity in the beginning. That is what unifies that people. And it also creates a feeling of nationalism, bringing the people together, feeling like you belong to one unified group, or sometimes more than one. It's absolutely possible that this feeling of national collective identity causes a nation unified by culture or ethnicity to develop into a civic nation as well, in addition to the other national characteristics, one unified by a code of laws, in addition to shared origins. National identity describes the condition in which a mass of people have made the same identification with national symbols. They have internalized the symbols of the nation so that they may act as one psychological group when there is a threat to or the possibility of enhancement of these symbols of nationalism. William Bloom. What Bloom is saying is that people take the symbols of a nation and make them a part of themselves. Think polar bears, loonies, toonies, hockey, maple syrup, poutine. All of these, in some way, are national symbols of Canada. How many people define themselves in Canada by those symbols? And are those part of what you consider to be part of your identity? National identity also creates national myths, shared stories, ideas, and belief that are key to creating the sense of nation. Remember, though, that national myth doesn't mean made up. We're talking about a different definition of myth, not a tall tale or a story. We're talking about something that explains the way a thing is. National myths explain the way a nation is. A really good example of a national myth in Canada that we haven't talked about yet is Terry Fox. Terry Fox Day has become a part of Canada's national myth because it's something that we all partake in that unifies us together. It's a shared story and a shared belief in continuing Terry's legacy and trying to fight against cancer. That is a national myth. It's something that's real, but it's also a story that we keep telling ourselves, and that is part of what makes us Canadian. We can have other parts of that national identity and national myth as well. Canadians apologizing for everything. It's a stereotype that not even a lot of us do, at least when you talk to other Canadians, but it is something that we have taken into our collective identity. Uh, Hockey absolutely is. Polar bears and beavers are part of those national stories as well and part of our collective identity. And the important thing to remember is that national myths can change. Their direction can change. The story actually can continue going on. Every single Winter Olympics, this is what happens with Canadian hockey. The myth continues, for good or for bad, win or lose. The national myth of Canadian hockey always keeps going, and we internalize that as a part of ourselves. It influences us, but we also influence it. We can change those myths. That's what Terry Fox did. He literally changed the national myth of the nation, or at least he contributed to it. He added to it and continues to be part of our national mythology.